Smoking Dank Sinatra, that's all gas. On the hunt in the tall grass. Intercepting every ball pass, then I run it back, that's a TD. Check the scoreboard, y'all last. We up one, you see me. Pussy niggas wanna talk about it, go to Hellcat, no demon. I be politicking on your broadcast at the red carpet like the famous homie. Ask your bitch, really famous homie, and you know it's in me. It ain't on me. So creative like I made Adobe. I've been balling like I played with Kobe.
What's the deal? What's the deal? We back with another one. PolitiKan, the podcast, live 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. First topic we got to get to is the NBA, man. So they announced the LeBron rule. I'm calling this the LeBron James rule. They call it the anti-flopping rule. You will now get an unsportsmanlike conduct technical, and you will be fined for flopping. So no more flopping in the NBA. The NBA also announces that there will be a in-season mid-season tournament. And this mid-season tournament is going to start November 3rd. There will be a part of the 82-game season, and there will be a champion that is awarded this mid-season tournament award. DeAndre Hopkins, Pro Bowl receiver from the Cardinals. He is still a free agent. He has yet to choose a team. He says that he is in no rush to choose a team. So what team do you think could utilize DeAndre Hopkins the most? Meek Mill is catching a lot of backlash right now. Because he was recently at his Rolling Loud performance screaming out, "Free Tory Lanez, free Tory Lanez." And now everybody is like, why are you defending that guy that shot a woman in the foot? And he's receiving a lot of backlash for that. So we'll get into that topic. And last but not least, as we head into this next presidential race, we have a third-party candidate, Dr. Cornel West. And we really got to get into that topic, especially as black men. Having a black candidate like Dr. Cornel West on the ballot is crucial, especially in today's climate. We got Amrock and Yajiketa here, man. Finna get to it. What's the deal?
What up?
What's going on?
So let's
right off the back, he said the LeBron rule.
so let's get to this first rule. What is it? The LeBron rule? So the anti-flopping rule. What's your thoughts on this? The fines and the punishment? Do you think that the NBA is on the right track with this anti-flopping? I know in the playoffs it got serious. Like we seen 10 flops a game. It felt like. What are your thoughts on this new anti-flopping rule? And do you think that's going to change the competitiveness of these basketball games, especially in the playoffs? What's your thoughts?
I just want to know I just want to know right off the back, was these LeBron James pictures on purpose? That's what the world wants to know.
Yes, they were very intentional. They weren't hard to find. Just Google NBA flopping images. 90% of them are going to be LeBron James.
We need to have the Kawhi pictures in a cast in the that's what we need next. Where the Kawhi injury pictures at?
That's worse than flopping. No, I like the rule. I like the rule because I like that they made it a technical, unsportsmanlike technical, which means not only like you technically you can only flop twice a game. That's it. That's all you got. You got 2 flops. Because some people don't care about, okay, I give you a free throw. You know, like me. I mean, the players didn't care about how much money they had to pay for the fine. So you think one free throw is like, oh, okay, cool. Now down the stretch, that makes a difference. But like the first couple quarters, okay, it's only one free throw. But now that you're making it a technical, you only get 2 technicals in the game and you thrown out. So there, if your superstar player is flopping, or like to me, I always think when I think of flopping, I don't really think about LeBron James, but I don't really watch LeBron James like that. I think more of James Harden But that's just every time I watch him, I'm like, man, you don't got no defense, and that's all you do. So now your star player, if they flopping, guess what? And they called for it, you get in that technical. Now, I have seen on the thing that it was talking about if you flop and they're going to continue to play, and they can call you for that flopping foul once the timeout is done. So you may do the flopping, they may think it's a flopping, and then timeout's called, and then when they come back, boom, you hit with the technical. So you can challenge it, but are you going to waste your challenge on the flopping call? So I like the rule. I like the rule a lot. Stop the flopping. Play defense.
Yeah, I like the rule too. I'm not gonna call it we need to see more penalties on players, Kawhi, specifically who aren't playing, especially when these fans pay the prices that they do to go to these games to see these superstars play, and they're not playing. But that's a conversation for another day. But with the flopping, yeah, I mean, it's not just LeBron. I get it. Everybody hates LeBron, so he's at the forefront. But yeah, to y'all's point, I mean, James Harden there's a lot of play. Marcus Smart does it, as we saw in the pictures. Like, there's a lot of players who flop. And I would imagine that this is going to be something coaches will plan strategically. Probably throw in there the 12th man off the bench to come in there and get a couple of flops in. And maybe send a center who's a bad free throw shooter to, it's going to be something that the coaches plan out strategically. It won't just be guys, just flopping all over the place anymore. Obviously, they're going to find loopholes, as you will, within these rules. But I like it. I mean, yeah, it's, flopping it's unnecessary. It's, you're faking a foul. But again, this has been going on in the NBA for a long time. I can recall seeing footage from the 90s where guys were flopping and the refs calling, and that changed outcomes of playoff games. So, I think this was a long time coming. The league probably just, they finally got tired of it. And so I think it's a good rule, and we'll see how coaches plan around it strategically, because there will be ways around it, so to speak. You won't have the superstars or even all-stars doing it. It'll be, again, guys who, are in the rotation, but they could take a foul. They can take a couple technicals and be ejected. Like, they're kind of expendable, for lack of a better term. And coaches will use it that way. So that's the way I see it going.
I only really say it's the LeBron James rule, because LeBron, he's not the most frequent flopper, but he's definitely the most dramatic flopper that we have in the league. LeBron will go flying out of bounds. He will go rolling into the stands. He will be laying on the ground like look, his eyes is closed. He looking like he dead out there, bro. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, look at Smart. He flopping, but he ain't on the floor with his eyes closed.
He was just as dramatic in that picture. His mouth open, like he about to cry. Like, come on.
He got LeBron out there. He be out. He's
LeBron is dramatic though when he flops.
Dominant.
He is,
and he will get hit in the face and fly out of bounds. And you're like, bro, like, even if you got hit hard, but you didn't get hit hard enough to fly out of bounds, bro. Like, come on, you got to. LeBron is definitely very extra. Now, James Harden, he was the original flopper. He was the guy that really is the key to all of this. They changed the step back rule. They changed that. They keep changing the rules to make sure to take away from James Harden. And it really hurts him, especially right now when he's trying to find a new team. But if it helps get him to the Clippers for a cheaper price, then I'm all for it, man. Let's go. Add as many rules as you want. Take away from James Harden so that we can get him for next to nothing coming over here to the Clippers, man. We want him. So come on down, James. Come on home to LA, man, and come play for the Clippers. But this flopping,
Isn't
I
that
think,
bad? Why would you want that though? Like
nah, man.
James
But
Harden has to have rules made for him to be able to play the game of basketball. And then when those rules are taken away from him, he's not a good player.
that's how
And you want that?
Kobe got the Kobe rule, where he would pump fake you and you would jump and he would initiate the contact and throw the ball at the rim. Jordan got the hand checking rule, where he would push you off and hand check to get his shot off. Every great player has a rule that has been accompanied with their name, and that's what it is. You know, we got the
Let's stick
Hack-a-Shack
with those two.
We got the Hack-a-Shack rule. Shaquille O'Neal.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
With all three of those players, this is what I'm saying. With all three of those players that you named, Kobe, Shaq, and Jordan, right? Once they made that rule, did their game disappear?
No.
James Harden, you take away the step back. Where has James Harden been since they made his rules?
He moved to point guard.
He
led the league in assists. He
averaged LeBron
led the league in assists.
LeBron been flopping since
he moved into the point guard and was the most efficient assisting point guard in the league while switching positions. What are you talking about?
What did that do? What did that do for the LeBron? What did that do for the
03? Since 2003, since he came in, 4 of them things he still got. Like,
and that's why the league,
that didn't change his game.
That's why the league. That's why the league did this right now, because LeBron James flopped his way from the play-in tournament all the way to the Western Conference. And we cannot continue to watch this in the playoff basketball. We cannot tolerate this in playoff basketball going forward. LeBron flopping his way through this whole playoffs is the reason.
I'd rather see LeBron James flop than James Harden play bad basketball.
And that didn't prohibit the Lakers from making it to the Western Conference. Like, they still made it to the Western Conference final. Every other team, including the teams that was in the play-in tournament, had a chance, just like Denver when they won it. So that didn't change anything.
My other question is, before we get off this topic, is how many players do the Clippers need? Y'all got Paul George, Kawhi, Russell Westbrook, and now going for James Harden. How many players do y'all need? And don't y'all still got Zubac?
Yeah, we got Zubac. If we could get rid of a Norman Powell and like a Marcus Morris, and maybe some of these young dudes like a Terrence Mann.
Kawhi just needs to play.
What?
Kawhi just needs to play. Again, as we said last week, when Kawhi plays, he's a superstar talent. Period. Nobody's denying his talent. Can he stay on the floor? That's what y'all need. Y'all have the guys. Y'all have the team. He needs to be.
Speaking of Kawhi, so the NBA is trying to incentivize the regular season. So now they have added a mid-season tournament to try to get people from stopping the load management craze. Kawhi Leonard was notably the first one to start load managing in Toronto, but guess what? He won a championship. And after that, the analytics took over, and now we have people, including LeBron James, load managing all the time. So now we're in this load managing era, and the NBA, to deter that, is now adding a mid-season tournament. So this mid-season tournament will include all 30 teams, and after it's narrowed down to the last 8, then it will be a one and done, kind of like a NCAA tournament, and the champion will be named after that those final 8. So the final 8 will go into a one and done tournament style, and the last team standing will win this mid-season championship, whatever that means.
All right.
As a player, would you even want this mid-season championship? And what do you do? Do you think that will deter people like Kawhi Leonard from, load managing?
This is what I would have to say about the tournament. Is First of all, mid-season is November. I thought it was like the beginning of at least December, right? But anyway, now this tournament means absolutely nothing because the incentives of this tournament is nothing. Who cares about playing a tournament in the middle of the season, right? That's like summer league. So now, if they change this rule, it's because your boy Yah said it. I'm just saying here. If they made this in-season tournament as if the winner of this tournament automatically goes to the second round, then you would see people playing in the tournament.
And so you're talking about a bye week in basketball?
A bye week in the playoffs. You automatically skip the play-in. You automatically skip the first round. You go to the second round. Then you will see people playing in it. Until you have some kind of incentive like that, nobody cares. Like, what? Why is Kawhi going to play in that?
The winner gets an additional, I think, $500,000 each player on the team to win the mid-season championship.
What's
so it's
500?
monetary.
What is that money compared to me? If I'm thinking as a GM, what is that money compared to me losing my best player and not winning the championship? What if Joker went in that tournament and he got injured in that tournament?
Well, the thing with the tournament is that they still count as regular season games. So it's not adding any additional games.
Okay.
It's like these same games are in the schedule, but they just count towards the tournament. So it's incentivizing you to make sure that you play your players in these games and not load manage them and sit them out. So it's giving them really in the beginning of the season, that's when teams tend to load manage because during the end of the season, it's to push for playoff seeding. So they're trying to do this in the beginning of the season so that after the All-Star break, when teams kick in the playoff gear, we won't have people load managing and doing all this in the beginning of the season because they want to win this tournament.
I don't see no reason to try to win the tournament. Okay, you get $5,000 for a player. The flopping rule, you lost $5,000 every time you flopped last year. So, and that didn't stop people from flopping. So obviously, $5,000 doesn't mean anything to
It's
a
500,000.
NBA player. Oh,
500,000.
500,000. Well, that's a little different.
Yeah, half a mil bonus check.
To each player?
To each player on the team that wins the tournament.
That means if I'm the 12th man,
you get half a mil.
Shoot, I'm using both of my flopping technicals too. That's how I helped out the team. What you got, Amrock?
I think it's meaningless. It's about views. We saw this with the NFL adding an additional game taken away from the preseason. It's about views and money. We saw this that's coming with the college football playoff. They're going to expand to 12 teams. As soon as Alabama didn't make the playoffs, they were like, oh, hell no. We got to expand this so we can give Alabama, even if they are ranked the 10th seed, we can give them a chance to make the playoffs. It's the same concept here. This will increase views, I'm sure, because people will be intrigued. And that's why they're going to be able to pay $500,000 to each player because the views will go up. And they have to have these views go up because they got to pay, it's the TV money. There's a hand in hand with that. ESPN, all, NBA, ABC, whoever's showing NBA games, TNT.
Now the league ticket is on YouTube now.
Yeah, so everybody gets a percentage out of this. So it's about views and money, clearly. But it's pointless. I get the NBA, I get Adam Silver trying to be innovative. But that's the problem with the league. If they haven't noticed, people want to see how the league used to be, as far as with, pre 2010, when the league was a little bit more physical, when guys were playing a lot more games, especially the superstars. We should go back to that, not so much to, trying to create different ways to be with the play-in. You first you have the play-in tournament, now you have the in-season tournament. What next? The All-Star break, they're gonna, they're gonna add 2 extra days and create something crazy with the All-Star break. It just seems meaningless. I get it with the money for the players, and maybe that's probably why they signed off on it. But yeah, I don't see the point of having like, to y'all's point. I mean, other than the money, what is really the incentive? If you because of this, I don't know, you automatically make the playoffs. But then again, let's just say, I don't know, who's the worst team right now in the NBA that we can think of? Orlando Magic. Let's say Orlando wins this in-season tournament. What does it really mean when they're probably still going to end up finishing 20-52? What is it? What's the purpose? Like, okay, y'all won the in-season tournament, cool, but y'all still didn't make the ultimate playoff, which, the ultimate tournament, which is the playoffs, or even the play-in to get into the playoffs. So, I don't really see a point, and I don't see why they broke it up the way that they did. They could have just made it per division. Every division has 5 teams. They didn't have to put the Lakers over here, put the Clippers over there, Golden State. They could have just made it, okay, if out of the Pacific League, out of the Northwest, out of the South, out of the, then like I said, I don't really see the point of it, other than it's going to generate some money, and generate some views. That's the only
the
thing.
Kawhi move. This is called the Kawhi effect.
With this new CBA forcing you to spend, I believe, 80% of your salary cap, so that these teams can't just put together trash. This is why you got people like Dylan Brooks getting $80 million, because they got to spend that money somewhere. So they're forcing these teams to spend the money and be competitive, and then they're adding in the play-in to make teams play throughout the rest of the season with a chance to make it into the playoffs. And now they're adding this beginning. They're doing this for a money grab. And with players not really getting no trade clauses anymore, and with players with this new CBA going into these rookie scales and bird rights and all this other stuff, the owners have definitely looked, and the LeBron James era is coming to an end, and there will never be another LeBron James that will pioneer so many people to go to free agency. The free agency period this year has been dead. Everything has been sign and trade or trade market players. The biggest splashes is teams getting their players back. Like, this is where the league is headed. The owners have taken the power back. And once these last Mohicans like LeBron, like a James Harden, like a Russell Westbrook, in 2 to 5 years, once they are out of the league, we will never see the league be the same. It's going to be a temporary product, and it's going to be just like NFL. 4 to 5 years, these players is going to be replaced with a new set of players, and you ain't going to be seeing those 15, 20-year NBA careers no more. That's just not part of the future.
And also because there's more opportunities, right? Like Draymond, Paul George, right? They, their podcasts, CJ McCollum, their podcasts are pretty well known, right? Dame Dollars, he's a rapper, right? Like, there's other opportunities now for these players compared to in the past. I can play 5 to 6 years, get my rookie deal, get another max deal. And then, do I really want to do this anymore? I got money. I probably didn't spend it, because if I'm like a Marshawn Lynch, I didn't spend none of my playing money. I just got I spent all my endorsement money, or like a Klay Thompson does that now. Guys aren't, there's no need for them to play, to your point, 15 to 20 years. Other than, if you're trying to accomplish something like LeBron with the scoring title, like Steph Curry trying to get more championships, like Durant trying to get another championship without Steph Curry. That's why, honestly, these guys are playing so long. It's more so like legacy talk now with those type of guys. But for the future, these guys aren't really going to care. They're going to be about their money, and the money's being basically handed to them on a platter. I mean, like you said, Dylan Brooks getting 4 years, $80 million. That's where the league is. If this was the 90s, he would be maybe a $1 million player. Now I get it, money's gone up and inflation and all that, but for the talent that he is, like you really deserve that. But whatever, hey, black man, get your money. But still, now,
the split between the owners and the players is 51% to the owner, 49% to the players. So now, because they share in the seats, they share in the season tickets, they share in the TV money. If you giving them $375 million and you making 2% more than them, then you're getting more than your return back from them, on top of the ancillary revenue that you're getting from like hot dogs and sponsorships and all that. So the owners ain't missing no dollars, and they getting just as much, getting more off of each player than they're paying. So if we look at it as, oh, they just giving this money away, but in reality, the owners are still making more off the players than the players is making.
Absolutely. And the owners, they do that for a reason. They know what they're doing. This
is the Kawhi Leonard effect.
They're the millionaires and billionaires for a reason. They know exactly. The owners know exactly what they're doing. Keep the players in line.
Last question on this, because this is the Kawhi Leonard effect, ladies and gentlemen. It's because Kawhi Leonard don't play, so he gave the bright idea to everybody else not to play, right? Load management. So my question is, at the end of the day, basketball is a job, right? Steph Curry works for an organization, and his occupation is basketball, right? If I missed as much time on my job than what Kawhi Leonard has missed on his job, I will be fired. This is why they made the tournament, ladies and gentlemen. So that we can watch basketball more, because our favorite players aren't playing, because Kawhi Leonard gave them an idea, just like, sorry to say it, Amrod, just like LeBron made, well, he didn't make the super team, but he came out and said, hey, free agency, everybody come together, right? And then people take it to a whole new level. Kevin Durant, he goes, I'm not only going to do what LeBron James did, I'm going to go to the team that basically doesn't even need me. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with Golden State. They didn't need me. They won, 72 games on 1 year. And I'm going to go to them and win a championship. Now I'm going to go to the Phoenix Suns when they have all the players in the world to win a championship without me. And I'm just going to be the one to just coast, right? He took what LeBron James thought and made it bigger. Now these players are doing the same thing. Well, if Kawhi's not playing for almost a whole year and then coming back and playing in the playoffs, I can do the same thing. Now the NBA is like, okay, let's make a tournament in November when the season just barely started, just to get us to watch it.
Hey, man, we didn't think the play-in tournament will work, and we had a team from the play-in make the Western Conference Finals. We had a team from the play-in make the NBA Finals. So we didn't think the play-in will work, and now the narrative for the play-in is completely different now that these teams from the play-in have made it this far in the playoff scenario.
But to your point, there's an incentive with the play-in. You can potentially make a Western or a NBA Finals. What is the other than money and views? Again, if the Orlando Magic win this tournament, which they probably won't, but just if they do, they'll probably still finish 20-52. What was the incentive of winning the in-season tournament?
Yeah, true. 500,000.
Fine. I mean, and that's great, but that's it. Again, all these guys are getting millions of dollars anyway. I mean, that's just the extra bonus check. Cool.
Most of them want that chip. They don't want the money. They want the. If they really wanted the money, then a whole bunch of people would have been signing up to try to go to the Rockets this year, but they didn't. Right? So you need to have the incentive. You win this in-season tournament, you have a guaranteed spot in at least the first or second round.
That would make sense. And otherwise, you might as well just open up the playoffs to all 16 teams on both sides. Because eventually that's where it's probably going. Hey, everybody makes the playoffs and everybody gets a chance. They probably gonna do it like March Madness. I mean, that's where it's going. I can see that happening within the next 5 years, especially to your point, Kalen, with the talent disparity. You're not going to have the LeBrons, the Currys, the Durants, all of those guys within 5 years max will be gone. So what's going to draw people in?
Zion, when's the last time you seen Zion play?
That's what's going to win. All right, but let's get to this NFL, man. We rounding the corner to mandatory mini camps. Everybody's going to be reporting. We're going to get preseason games coming up pretty soon. And wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, he leads in the free agent market right now. He's the top free agent still available. Now we have contenders like Baltimore. I think the Patriots are the number one team being said that he might go to their services. Where do you think DeAndre Hopkins should go, to make the biggest impact and actually attempt to win a championship this year? Who can use him the most?
I like the Ravens. Putting him with OBJ, that would be, as long as those two guys can, stay on the field, that would definitely help Lamar Jackson, and really solidify them as a contender. They're a contender now, but most of that is predicated on health. Their biggest stars normally can't stay healthy. Patriots, I don't like. I mean, Matt Jones, he's cool. He's a good quarterback, but I would imagine DeAndre Hopkins wants to win. He hasn't won a Super Bowl, so I would imagine he wants to win. He wants to be on a team that has a chance. So a team like the Ravens, maybe going up to a Seattle alongside with Metcalf, that would be pretty dope. Miami already has two guys. Philly already has two guys. Please don't go to the Cowboys. A lot of guys end up doing that, but I hope he doesn't. Maybe the Bears, maybe Chicago Bears. I forget who their quarterback is.
Justin Fields.
They could potentially use them. I know they got a young core. They're on the come up. They could potentially use them. Green Bay now with Love. It's going to be his first year. He could use some talented receivers on his side. So there's a lot of other options in the Patriots. I don't see him being, of course, Matt Jones would try to throw him the ball, but will it be as effective? Will he be the difference maker for them to potentially get into the playoffs? No, that's going to be up to Matt Jones in that defense in New England. I could see him being a difference maker in a Baltimore, in a Chicago, in a Green Bay, with a young quarterback that has more promise, who they've started to build around those young quarterbacks in those markets. New England, I don't see what they're really doing to help Mac Jones that much. So yeah, I would have to say probably one of those three teams could be maybe Denver, dark horse, maybe Denver. Russell Wilson could use some help. I would say probably those four teams could potentially use him, and he would be an impactful player immediately and help those quarterbacks.
I know DeAndre watches this podcast, so this is my chance and opportunity You heard what Amrock said. Come to Seattle, baby. Come to Seattle. You can play with Metcalf. You got Tyler Lockett. You got the underdog Geno Smith that everybody thought he wasn't going to do nothing. We still need to work on a running game. But, we got some pieces. Now, after that, if it was me, why not? I'll figure out how to go to Baltimore. Like, just like we talked about last week with what was his name? Cook? I think it was Cook.
Yeah, that was yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, if you looking for a chance to go to a championship and not look like the Kevin Durant of football, and so you ain't trying to go to the Chiefs or the Bengals, then are the Bills. I think they were saying the Bills were trying to pick him up.
Yeah.
But now if the Bills get him, that's gonna be a little tough for good old KC. But if you trying to go on that underdog, like Amrock said, if they stay healthy and danger and ain't nobody really talking about them being that dangerous, is Baltimore. I will go to Baltimore. That's where I would go, to Baltimore, and go from there. Because you ain't gonna go to the Raiders. That'd be stupid. 49ers, I don't even think you guys got the cap room to get another player like that.
Too many players over there already.
Yeah, y'all got too many.
Yeah, they don't need them. They don't need them. Rams, maybe you can go to the Rams since they lost OBJ. Like, maybe, but Stafford.
Baltimore still, yeah. Your quarterback's trash. Baltimore's still better than the Rams. Bengals is still better than the Rams. Chiefs is better than the Rams. Like, there's so many teams that are still better than 49ers are better than the Rams. So why would you do that to yourself? If you're trying to get a championship, and I seen a little thing that was saying like, hey, Hopkins, don't end up like Terrell Owens and all them. So what about Philly? Could he go to Philly?
I don't know. They picked up too many receivers last year. I don't think they got enough.
Yeah. Our issue was running back, which we picked up Stewart, I believe, from the Lions. And we got AJ Brown and Smith. Those are our guys. And then we got the receiver, the white dude, I forget his name, Goddard. So yeah, Philly, no. Philly, no. I mean, of course, anywhere he goes, he can help a team. Don't get me wrong, but that was a good one that you brought up, Buffalo. Him and Diggs, that might. But Josh Allen is really the key there. He's turning into, can he, like, almost like a Peyton Manning? Like, can you get over that hump? And it took Peyton Manning to have defenses. That's how he won his 2 Super Bowls. To get over that hump. If y'all recall, when he won with the Colts, that was a 16-10 game over the Bears. That was all defense. And then when he won with Denver, that was Von Miller and them boys that won that one against the Panthers. So, I don't know. I think, Buffalo would be nice, but Josh Allen has those questions now. Can you get over the hump, especially with Burrow and Mahomes and now Aaron Rodgers in your conference? That's gonna be tough.
So you guys all remember the Le'Veon Bell situation where he left the Steelers and they franchise tagged him, and he sat out for 2 years before making his way out to the Jets. Mm-hmm. Ever since then, they changed the structure of these contracts, and they don't even have to franchise tag you. You want out, you don't even have no guarantee money. We don't owe you any of these dollars, and we will cut you. And then guess what? You hit these open markets, and now you think that you're going to get a $7, $8, $10 million a year contract, and that's not happening. Luckily, Odell Beckham was able to, be in a dry market and get his money. But these NFL players, man, you hit free agency, you coming for the vet minimum, so you might as well just go try to win a championship. You seen Ndamukong Suh. He went to the Rams, so he had to try to win the championship. He was making $50 million a year, and he had to take $2 million a year and went over there and play with Tampa. You got to do what you got to do, man. Like, I think that at this point in your career, you're not going to get a long-term contract. You're not going to get really no real dollar amounts. So take your time, be very selective. But I think where he's messing up right now is that it's coming towards the time where training camps are going to be reporting. And if you don't want to report to training camp, then you sign late. But we don't want you to sign late. We want you to be ingratiated. We want you to have that time with the team. So if you need to sign, you need to sign now if you really want to be a starter and be as impactful as you possibly can. But a lot of these people, they know that this probably going to be their last check, that they probably ain't going to get, really that big of a run. So I think that he's going to sign near the end of preseason so that he doesn't have to go through preseason and try to join a team and hit the ground running right at the beginning of the season. So I think he's really going to drag this out. And because he ain't really going to get the dollar amount he's looking for, he probably won't sign to a team, like I said, to end the preseason. And I understand it. I don't want to go through OTAs. I don't want to go through all that. I'll train on my own. You'll sign me. I'll pass my physical. And then I'll get out there and you throw me the rock. And that's pretty much it. Now let's get to this Meek Mill news, man, because black people, we always used to scream, free baby Dulo. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Free Lil Shiesty. You know what I'm saying? Free baby Killer Kid. You know what I'm saying? Like motherfuckers be doing the most heinous crimes, and we'll be still screaming freedom as if they deserve freedom. So Meek Mill is receiving a lot of backlash because he was at his Rolling Loud set and he was screaming out free Tory Lanez after we know he was just found guilty for shooting Megan Thee Stallion. And this is why they say black men don't protect black women in today's age. And also, like I mentioned earlier, how black people are always screaming free somebody that basically doesn't deserve to be free. So what are y'all thoughts on this free Tory Lanez? Do you think that he should be blackballed for this? And what are your thoughts on him supporting Tory Lanez given his situation?
I'll say this. To me, it's just my opinion. To me, that whole case is still sketchy. I understand the logistics and what the evidence is saying and all of that. To me, that whole situation is just still a little sketchy. But nevertheless, he was found guilty. Yes, protect black women at all times. So, what he did was absolutely wrong, uncalled for, unnecessary. As we've stated on the show, you don't, guns and all that, that's a serious matter. You don't pull out a gun, unless you're trying to defend someone or defend your home or defend your family. You shouldn't pull out a gun at all. Especially not on a black woman who's, as far as we know, really didn't do anything to you. But again, we wasn't in their relationship and all of that. We don't, know all the particulars. Meek Mill has a right to, just like anybody, to say what they will. Donald Trump says, he thinks his daughter is cute and he would have sex with her and all this extra stuff. And, he's still able to run for president. So, double standard, right? So, I will say that the years that they're trying to give Tory Lanez, I think is a bit excessive. I think they're trying to just throw the book in and make an example of, again, a successful independent black artist in hip hop, in the industry. Tory Lanez has, just like Nipsey Hussle, a Dr. Sibby, has tried to expose the industry. That's why, him, Chance the Rapper, those guys, really for this age pioneered indie and being independent. And so he went against the grain. So of course, the music industry, the untouchables that run the music industry don't like that at all. And so, the whole situation is unfortunate. But for Meek Mill, again, he has a right to say how he feels. So, everybody's not going to like what you say. Certain people might not like what, Yah says or I say or Caleb said on the show or who, it is what it is. But we have a right to freedom of speech per, our U.S. Constitution. And so he has a right to feel the way that he feels. I don't know if he meant necessarily, free him because, he shot a black woman and that's okay. I don't know if Meek Mill that was his intention. I think it might have been, like, to my point, they're trying to throw the book at Tory for this. I don't necessarily agree with that. But of course, I do not agree with what happened, what occurred. And so I will say that on this topic. I will say that.
I would be, and I agree with what Amrock is saying, I will be 48. I'll be 48 when Tory Lanez gets out. Like 13 years. That is a long time. Like, and if it is the way that Amrock was explaining it, where if you're an independent artist, it goes back to what we were speaking about in basketball, right? Certain basketball players do certain things, and then other players get the bright idea, like, yo, why am I not doing that, right? So now why are a lot of successful independent rappers either coming up dead or they're in jail for a long time?
Yep.
Nobody, freaking Jay-Z will come out and tell you that he sold X, Y, and Z, and now he's buying expensive ass paintings for his daughter, and he built his empire off of X, Y, and Z, and Jay-Z ain't never got in trouble.
And real quick to Jay-Z's point, to your point about Jay-Z, people forget a long time ago he was dating Foxy Brown while she was underage. People forget about that. But we get on R. Kelly with Aaliyah.
We get on R. Kelly and Aaliyah, right? And it's like but independent rappers are being silenced, and somehow Nipsey came out and showed the whole world they can do it, and then the next thing you know, Nipsey's dead, right? And you can call it conspiracy all you want. So I'm thinking maybe Meek Mills is saying, hey, free him, as in, yeah, maybe he should do time for that's crazy. Maybe he should do time for shooting her in the foot. But 13 years? Oh, so you gonna convict him for 13 years, but you telling me with all the drones and everything we have in the world nowadays, you telling me you still can't find Tupac and Biggie's killer?
Right.
No? Okay. All right. We still don't know who did that. Right? But you're going to give a brother 13 years. So maybe he was saying free him, as in, yo, give him a lighter sentence.
Right.
Like 13 years is ridiculous. Now, us getting on us getting on Meek Mill's head, and I'm saying that's people getting on Meek Mill's head and saying, oh, I get it. We do need to protect Black women. We need to protect all women, right? But at the same time, I'm all about keeping the same energy. We are on him for using his freedom of speech, but ain't nobody say anything about Dana slapping his wife. No, they just let that just go under. Okay. Well, y'all, he shot her in the foot. Okay, yeah, I get it. A gun is worse than a slap, but ain't Dana never got in trouble for it. His podcast ain't never stopped. Nothing that happened to him. Nobody says anything about it. We so concerned about what Meek Mill said, but when Brett Favre goes into Mississippi or whatever and steals a whole bunch of money from you black people, nobody says nothing about anything. We so worried about the Canada rapper shooting Megan Thee Stallion in the foot. I wish I did the research. A little part of me is like, has she ever talked about guns in her stuff? Like, if you a big thug, I have to do a little more research on that. But it just came in my head, like, if you so far into it, whatever, and she's like, I seen the thing, like, I'm so shocked. He was like my best friend, and he shot me in my foot, and it's just, yeah, okay, I get it, but I don't know the whole context of what really happened. None of us do, but that's just my whole outtake of it. Like, why are we focused on Tory Lanez? Yeah, give the guy, if anything, give the guy a lighter sentence. He should do some time. You shouldn't be playing with a gun. I mean, damn, cops get less than that, and they killing all of us all. But ain't nobody. They still getting pensions, and you giving this man 13 years. I'm done.
Yeah. To your point, y'all. Yeah, everybody, especially our people, need to keep that same energy. We're so quick to every time one of our own, whether it's an artist, entrepreneur, actor, whatever, gets into something, we all have an opinion. But to your point, when Dana White slapped his wife, this was around the same time that Michael Irvin got caught up with that white girl saying that he touched her. And then we saw the TMZ always got footage. We saw that nothing happened there, but his career basically got destroyed. He was kicked off of the Super Bowl coverage and this and that, but nothing happened to the CEO of UFC, Dana White. So, but again, to your point, black people were so in an uproar about Michael Irvin, about all these different people who done wrong or was accused of doing wrong or allegedly did something wrong. But now we're getting on Meek for saying free Tory Lanez, when again, he may not have meant it like to y'all's point, to my point earlier. I'm sure he didn't mean it like, yeah, it's okay to shoot black women, so free him. No, I'm pretty sure he did not mean it in that manner. To y'all's point, it was probably like, yeah, why is he getting 13 years when police officers get suspended with pay, then get arrested, then either if it does go to trial, probably gets acquitted, then they're right back on the job getting their salary. There's a double standard, just like I brought up with Trump. He says the most outlandish things and just was convicted of assault and all of that, and can probably still run for president, or if he goes to prison, he can still be put on the ballot. Absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, that's the American way. That's the American system. But just like you were saying earlier, I mean, it's really the way black people crucify our own people. The moment that something happens to a black star, we clown them. I mean, we like to laugh at our own, problems. We turn everything into a joke. So a lot of it isn't taken that seriously. And as black people, we understand it. Like, yeah, we just kind of cracking and making jokes. Like the sub thing happened and everybody was cracking jokes. It's not like we didn't, care about the white people, but we just like to laugh at, some fucked up situations sometimes. But I think it is a common thing for us to scream free somebody that's in jail, because a lot of times we understand the circumstances or the things that led that person to make those decisions. So yeah, Baby Dulo might be in jail for armed robbery, but you know what I'm saying, he was 2 days away from getting evicted, and he went on 10 job interviews and got turned down from each one, and he got 3 days notice to pay or quit, and he got to make a decision in the next 48 hours or his family's gonna be homeless. So now he runs in there, and now it escalates, and he may kill somebody in there. But the situation was systematically put in place to put us in that position to the point where we have no other options but to go out there and do these type of things, you know, to provide a roof over our head and to feed our families. So, you know, at the end of the day, as Ronnie would say, you know, it's all systematic. That's something that, you know, the famous homie always pushes. And that's something that we got to realize is that even if someone makes a mistake, a lot of times the things that land you in jail for 30 years, you watch Wallow. He went to jail for a robbery, lost 15 years of his life. He said the instance that happened was 30 seconds of his life. And that 30-second decision that he made lost him 15 years. And a lot of times it'd be a split decision that occurs in 30 seconds. And that 30 seconds, you know, changes your life forever. Now, does, you know, and with us being constitutionally 3/5 of a human, we don't have freedom in America. We have access to freedom. So when we get jail time, that access is revoked. And this is why we get 5, 10, 15 more years than any other race in America. And this is systematically put in place for a reason, man. And it's bigger than that. So I think that we got to stop crucifying each other. And if you want to stand with that man, that's your opinion. We do not agree with the time that they're giving him, but you do the crime, you do the time. That's what my mama always told me. She said, I ain't bailing you out. I got $20 on your books a week. And that's it. So you do the crime, you do the time. I get you some soups and some toothpaste. And that's it.
Hey, I like how you said with the crucifixion thing. Me, myself, I believe Jesus was not a white man. He cannot live in those environments as a white man. They didn't have no sunscreen back then, right? So I believe Jesus was a black man. And with Jesus being a black man, Jesus wasn't crucified by the Romans. Yes, they did the crucifixion, but even the Roman king himself was like, so y'all rather crucify this man than this man?
That's a murder and all that?
Yes. And it was Jesus's own people that told and said, yes, free him, free the murderer, crucify him. So we got to be more mindful of, I know we joke and stuff like that, but we got to be more mindful of us bringing each other down based upon X, Y, and Z, because that is how the system wants us. They're already going to break us down. We should be building each other up.
And real quick to y'all's point of them breaking us down and everything being systematic. Again, this, as we normally say, this goes back to slavery, where, like to Caitlin's point with the joking about certain things, Black people, we have to find the humor in a lot of things because everything around us most of the time is depressing as hell. Or to your point, Caitlin, you know, that I forget the artist that you mentioned that committed the armed robbery, but that was a sense of desperation, right? Like we're put in those predicaments where we're desperate, where around us, you know, we see poverty, we see people struggling, we see people drugged out. We have to try to find some type of humor or for lack of a better term, to not put ourselves in those predicaments as well, right? Like we have to find the good or the happiness in most situations, because a lot of times it should be depressing, especially for us Black people.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we have to understand the system that we are in America, so that if we are ever going to find an answer to or come up with some type of tactics as a people, the Black Panther Party was very smart and tactical, and that's one thing they want to keep away from us is tactics. So we have the presidential race coming up. Like we mentioned, we got Joe Biden, we got Trump. Even though he's indicted, he's still about to make the ballot. But now we have a third party independent running, and it is Dr. Cornel West. Now, I've only read one of Dr. Cornel West's books, Democracy Matters, and he lays out, how we are systematically being oppressed through democracy. But still, democracy is the answer to fixing these problems, and we have to understand the democracy that we're in order for us to take the power and actually make a difference. So now he is actually running for president as a registered independent, and that gives us a third party candidate where we believe that it was just Trump and Biden, but now we have Dr. Cornel West. What are y'all thoughts on Cornel West being a third party candidate? And could this be the best time and the first time that a third party candidate actually has a chance to win?
I would say, and I'm speaking for myself, I don't know much about the guy. I think he was on The Matrix. Wasn't he on The Matrix? But I haven't done a lot of research on him. And so for myself, all I would say is I'm glad that we have somebody else besides the two. But within that, I will also say with everybody that is on that ballot, make sure you do your research. Make sure you do some kind of research. Please, Yajiketi, do some research. Don't just vote for somebody because they the same skin color as you. Do they got the same morals as you? Do they got the closest to your belief system? And so that's all I got to say for it. He does have my attention because he is the same skin color as me. And if Caleb's bringing it up, I trust Caleb's judgment, but I got to do my research.
Yeah, I agree. Do your research. I haven't read any of his books like you, Caleb, but I have heard the doctor speak. And yeah, I mean, he's for his people. As far as what I have heard and seen from him, glad that he's running as an independent. Yeah, I mean, I hope that he has a chance. But I am a realist. And so in a country where 60% of the population is still Caucasian, that's going to be difficult, especially for a proud Afro bearded intelligent Black man to get people, especially white people, on his side and vote. Because at the end of the day, you're going to need some type of white votes to win. Whether that's the white man, the white woman, a combination of both, the elderly, the young white people, you're going to need their votes some way, somehow. This again, especially when most states are red, specifically in the South and in the Midwest. Most of those states are still red because most of the populations there in those states are primarily white or have white control. Unlike a California or all of those states, Washington, Oregon, California, all you guys are blue. Everybody over here on the East Coast, from New York, PA, Maryland, Virginia, most of those states are blue because that's primarily where the minorities are. Michigan, all those states are blue again because that's primarily where the minorities are. And so in how they have it structured. With how you can be elected, especially with the stupid electoral college that's still in place, it will be difficult, again, because he's such a, he's not Obama. He's not half white. He's not, clean cut. He's, he's going to come in point some things out that white people, the power that be, do not want to hear. And so, it's going to be difficult. Not to say that, hey, if Trump won, anything's possible. But again, with this country still being 60% white, that's just going to be very hard for another black man to step in that arena and potentially win. But I'm praying for him. I'm praying that this opens the door for other potential black candidates like a Cornel West, who not necessarily are in the political realm or hold a political position, but who is a scholar, or entrepreneur, entertainer, who has certain views, who the people may like. Hopefully that opens the door going forward. Even if he does happen to lose, it opens the door for other people to try. I would hope that it does that and not discourage people from not trying, especially our people from not trying. Hopefully this gives people, okay, well, we did have Obama. Now Cornel is running. Even before that, we had Shirley Chisholm run. We had Jesse Jackson run at one point. So we had people run. It needs to be more. It needs to be more consistent. And hopefully that's what this does. But yeah, I mean, he's just going to have, especially being independent. This country is so, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. That's just the way it is. Hardly anybody else even has a chance. And so, we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, praying for him. Definitely a great opportunity, especially with how everything is shaping up. But yeah, still, this country is 60% white and bigoted, and this ain't 60% white and they're somewhat progressive. They want us all, most white people want us all back to how, the slave days, the antebellum days. That's how they want it. And so, that's going to be difficult for him. And I believe he understands that. Him being a scholar, he understands that it's going to be difficult. It's going to be an uphill battle. And unfortunately, what's even more unfortunate, half of the minorities aren't progressive. Like they're gonna, we have a lot of minorities that are on the Republican side and think that, by we'll still be accepted, and that's not the case. Like no matter what, like Kanye West, as crazy as Kanye West is, he said it a long time ago. Even if you in a Benz, you still a nigga in a coupe. That's how they see us. Period.
If you look at all the talks for reparations, those are all being shot down all around America. 6 months ago, it was looking like black people in America would actually finally get some reparations. And now you look around and all those things are being shot down. Reparations is dead in the water. Then you look at, the victims from Tulsa, from the Tulsa massacre. They filed for reparations for the last remaining living people. And the judge just shot that down. So that tells you the temperament of white people in America as far as how they view us. If they don't want to give us no reparations, if they killed and massacred a whole town in Tulsa and the surviving people can't get reparations, then us black people as a whole in America have a false sense of hope. And what all that's going to do with Dr. Cornel West, because like you mentioned earlier with the Electoral College and half of these states being red, all that's going to do is draw half of the Democratic vote from Biden, which his numbers are already in the trash, to Cornel West. So even if it draws the black vote from Biden to Cornel West, that's going to be enough for Trump to come in and win the candidacy. And we'll have Trump for a second term right after he just got indicted, after he beat 3 impeachments, after he caused insurrection in the Capitol. and he's got like a streamlined way back to the presidency. And that's where we're all in America right now.
Mm-hmm.
And to that.
So are you
really
saying that are you saying that it doesn't matter what West runs, it's going to help Trump out? You know, Kanye West was going to help out Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Cornel West ends up helping out Trump.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know you're throwing your candidacy out there, but just like Amrock pointed out, there's like negative 110% chance that he turns any of these red states blue.
Yeah.
He's not going to flip any of these Republican states. And any of them that were swing states, they're probably going to go red also. And if we only get the black vote, then that takes away the thing that got Biden into office in the first place, because he was not the popular candidate going in. So if anything, man, that's just handing the presidency over to Trump. And Trump's numbers are only rising while Biden's numbers are just going in the trash. And that's where we at. We're
about to have the first president in jail. Running the country.
He gonna get out of jail. He gonna get out of jail for sexually assaulting 30 women.
I was about to say it won't be the first time we had a criminal as a president.
No, last time when he ran for president, though, we had him on tape. And he said, yeah, I brought her an armoire, and then I took her and I put the armoire in the house. And I said, yeah, you like that armoire? And then I grabbed her right by the pussy. Looked her right in her eyes.
Yeah, this is the same man that said he would, I'm paraphrasing, but he said his daughter looked good, like he would sleep with his daughter. This is the same man that said that. That's disgusting. Disgusting. But white people from history love that. Thomas Jefferson sexually assaulted how many black women, how many legitimate black kids, and was still the president. Andrew Jackson, notorious slave owner, still. This is what white people love, man. This is what they love.
All right, let's get some shout outs before we get up out of here.
Shout out to you, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys. I look forward to doing this every Wednesday. I know we got other things we got to do. I know Amrock's in a different time zone. I know my boy Caleb. Congrats, man, with the anniversary. It's your anniversary. You know, so, you know, congratulations. Being a black man with his black woman and making it to another year of marriage, husband and wife. I know I ain't gonna get too far into it because I ain't trying to get in trouble. But husband and wife, man and female, congratulations, brother. Other than that, keep getting off the boat of average, diving into the sea of greatness, and that's all I got.
Yeah, I would say again, as always, shout out to PolitiKan. You know, shout out to you guys, Caleb and Yah, you know, everybody, you know, who's always on the show, the mayor, Ronnie, Ken, like everybody. Shout out to all you guys. You know, life is sometimes funny, and you know, you have to, you know, sometimes reset. Sometimes you have to, you know, just take a step back and think about where your, you know, life is going, where your journey's taking you. But most importantly, you know, the message to everybody is continue to pray, continue to listen to God, whichever God you believe in, whatever you want to call him. At the end of the day, you know, it's still all God. You know, most religions still believe in, you know, the same principles. And so, you know, just keep your focus on God. Don't worry about, you know, if your boss ain't giving you a promotion, or if you're not getting this opportunity, or, you know, you're thinking about your rent or your mortgage and how am I going to pay it, this or that. You know, God always finds a way. He did not bring you this far to drop you off here now, especially if you are a believer in him. You know, just, you know, stay on the grind, stay focused. That's what I'm learning for myself, you know, just trying to, stay focused, stay on the grind, and know that, there's light at the end of the tunnel. So, I'll say to everybody, man, just stay prayed up, and just keep your focus on God. No matter what, you have yourself and God, no matter, who you with, your kids or your parents, who friends, whoever. At the end of the day, it's still yourself and God. So everybody just keep that in mind, and just stay prayed up.
Yeah, definitely, man. I to piggyback off that, one thing that I definitely do is I may seem impulsive, but I go with my first mind, because I am filled with the Holy Spirit and I walk with faith, not by sight. So when something gives me an inkling, I follow my heart, my first mind, and even if it leads me to failure, there's a lesson in that failure that's going to get me closer to the success that I'm seeking. So one thing that people don't understand is that you fail your way to success. So you think that you're just going to succeed and you're going to just be good at everything you do, when our actuality is you fail 100 times until you get it right once. And you only have to be right once for you to be out of there. So, every day over here at PolitiKan, we ain't out here trying to hit no home runs. You know what I'm saying? A famous Will Smith speech says, if you want to build a brick wall, you don't focus on building a wall in a day. You focus on laying a brick every day. And eventually, once you look up, you'll have a brick wall. So that's what we're doing over here at PolitiKan, man. We laying a brick a day. We laying the foundation, and we're walking by faith, not by sight. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen in God's time. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't worried about when. I ain't worried about who going to be there with me, because, you gentlemen came along for the ride. And everybody, God provides you with the people that you need in your life at the right moment. And we have all found each other at the right moment, and that's why we're doing this podcast. And I love having these conversations with y'all every week, man. It definitely feeds the soul, and it definitely, adds a lot of value to this world, because these conversations, especially coming from young Black men, are not really being had. So like I said earlier, we laying a brick a day. That's what we're doing over here at PolitiKan. I don't know what you're going to do with your life, but I'm going to get to it, man. PolitiKan, the podcast. We out.
Stop me! You're gonna have to fucking kill me!
Smoking Dank Sinatra, that's all gas. On the hunt in the tall grass. Intercepting every ball pass, then I run it back, that's a TD. Check the scoreboard, y'all last. We up one, you see me. Pussy niggas wanna talk about it, go to Hellcat, no demon. I be politicking on your broadcast at the red carpet like the famous homie.